its reaction, whether he is allowed or he should get an approval from the state before he flies out of the country. So that is what's making on the front page of the Star newspaper. And still there, One Kenya Alliance trio leaves the door open for reunion with Raila as they exit NASA. They formally returned to the Registrar of Political Parties yesterday, who gave them a green light to exit NASA. And according to them, the marriage is over. The marriage is over. And that is what's making on the front page of the Star. Now, there's a story here. Kenya to import 3 vaccines to beat Delta. Now, a man says that state has ordered Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson jabs. The Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine currently being used in Kenya is effective against the highly virulent Delta strain after 2 doses, the World Health Organization said on a new advisory. Now, the strain is currently driving the 4th wave in Kenya, which has led to more hospitalizations and deaths. So that is what also making on the Star. But there is some good news here for lactating mothers. The government says that lactating mothers can take AstraZeneca jab. Now, having a baby comes with its own share of stress and uncertainty, and even worse when you have to deal with the pandemic. Now, pregnant and breastfeeding mothers were not included in any of the clinical trials for COVID-19 vaccines. Hence, as countries began to vaccinate eligible adults, lactating mothers, women who are also left in the dark. So in Kenya, lactating women have been turned away from vaccination posts and told the vaccine is not to be administered to breastfeeding mothers. But then now, it's now open, according to WHO, that lactating mothers can take AstraZeneca jab. Some good story there. I don't know what you make out of the... Jane, Doreen, Regina, have you taken the jabs?
I have. And, you know, as per the discussion that we were having yesterday about breastfeeding, there isn't research that says they shouldn't take the jab, as much as there isn't research that advises against taking the jab. So again, it's a catch-22 situation, but when it comes to medicine, it boils back to the advantages over the disadvantages. Which one outweighs the other? There's no medicine that goes without any consequences, but you just look at how the merits you stand to gain vis-a-vis the demerits that will come along with a particular vaccine or medicine, whichever it may be.
Absolutely. Regina, briefly, have you taken the jab? The first and second jab?
Now, new COVID cases in January in the country were 4,315, and the death toll was at 93. As we speak, as far as July is concerned, we have 297 deaths so far in July, and 19,052 persons, or rather new cases of COVID-19. Currently, the positivity rate stands at 15%. Yes, that is as far as I'm going. Doreen?
I have taken both the jabs.
Cheers. Now we are done. Maybe since we're still here, let's look at what we have on the front page of the Standard.
All right, yes.
Yes, we have that conversation around what has happened with NASA. So the door has been shut for NASA, and it appears that a window or a door has opened up for One Kenya. But does it have the clouds to bring the numbers? 2022 is just but around the corner there. So pictured on the front page of the Standard are the 3 former NASA principals, Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, as well as Kalonzo Musyoka. That's a story that has been given precedence on the front page of the Standard this morning, being the 4th of August 2021, and we're talking about matters of alliances of convenience. To what end? As we are gearing up to the 2022 general elections. Remember, we're yet to also finalize, or rather ODM is yet to finalize and tell us who the flag bearer is going to be ahead of this particular, political feat. Talking about front pages and what has been highlighted, we have questions after yesterday, and even we have seen what has transpired in Parliament with some members of Parliament. They are questioning why the Deputy President was barred from visiting Uganda. And I want us to go down memory lane and look at Uganda's history. Jane Victor Doreen, Milton Obote, Idi Amin, and now Kaguta Yoweri Museveni. If we look at the history, we all know issues of, coup d'etats,
political injustices,
and such. So with that in mind, the header that we have on the front page of the Standard this morning is the Ruto-Museveni link. We'll be giving details as we continue the headlines. Remember, we are live and we welcome your feedback. To you, Jane.
Just to add on to that, before we get to the details, here on this particular daily, the main read revealed DP Ruto's mission in Uganda. And you have rightfully captured it, Ray, because here in Just Brief, they mention how DP Ruto is looking for a mentor who will help change the political strategy that he has, which is a do-or-die situation for him in the upcoming 2022 general elections. Because according to Sudi, they say that he is determined to hire the political advisor to Yoweri Museveni, as per what has been briefly captured here. But we'll be getting to those details in a bit. Coming to One Kenya, as three of the now former NASA coalition party chiefs have formally exited the coalition. Now they are mounting pressure on KANU party leader Gideon Moi to break ties with Jubilee officially and join the One Kenya movement. Pressure on Gideon Moi right there. And there's a very sad story that has been featured here on the front page that has been captured on the entire of page 3, and it's about incest. Now, there is a report that was done looking at the last 3 years between the periods of June of 2018 up until June of 2021 from the national hotline 1195, and it has emerged out of the 160 incest cases that were reported, the highest number of perpetrators were fathers. I will be starting with this particular story as we get to the details of this particular segment. But first, Doreen.
Right, just like Ray would always put it, that perhaps the scribes are reading from the same script, because on the front page of the PD, in fact, it's just a whole splash concerning what has been happening to DP Ruto. And perhaps who is this man, Aiden Harun? Oscar Sudi came out yesterday to say that he is a businessman. We have seen on mainstream as well as on social media some calling him out. Others say that perhaps he's a terrorist or allied to a terrorist group. But according to reports, he had been arrested in Frankfurt, Germany, in October 2001 on charges of having planned serious acts of violence as a member of a terrorist group with an Islamic fundamentalist background. So, mystery of the Turkish man in Ruto team, that is what I'll be telling you about in just a short while, perhaps who this man is and what it means for the DP there. Still sticking with matters politics, and this is after the divorce of NASA happened yesterday, after the 3 party leaders, ANC, Wiper, as well as Ford Kenya, tendered their resignation there from that particular party. But even as they, from that particular outfit rather, but even as they did that, they did not close the door for negotiations with Raila. So what does this mean for these 3 or even 4 parties all together? Details of that coming in a short while. And coming to matters education, in as much as the government had said that no student or learner should be locked out, this is from attending school or classes. Where does this leave the school heads and principals, given the fact that a good number of also these students, especially Form 1s, might not have that required fees? So in terms of just perhaps what or how school heads and principals are dealing with this, are they in a dilemma? What are they supposed to do? Okay, and coming to COVID-19, experts now warn of 2 dark COVID months. So clearly, just every day from how we talk about matters COVID-19 just clearly shows that we are not yet out of the woods, and we need to take all the precautionary measures. But why are experts saying that perhaps it may be a dark 2 months coming this 2 months? What does it mean, and perhaps what reasons are they drawing to come up with such conclusions? Details of that coming in a short while.
All right, so there's that story of the Deputy President foreign trips and the debacle behind it, and this is this is just part of the discussion we are going to have at the top of the hour. But then the story says that sources said that there was a factory which was supposed to be built here in Kenya, a biotech factory. And it has also emerged that a biotech factory commissioned recently in Uganda by President Yoweri Museveni in Ruto's presence could be at the heart of DP's latest fallout with the President Kenyatta. Now, sources said that the factory was initially supposed to be built in Kenya, and a team of investors comprising of Turkish, American, Russian, and German nationals had landed in Nairobi in February. But they were trying to pitch an idea of building a biological drugs and mRNA vaccine manufacturing factory. Now, the government insiders are also said to have frustrated the German and the officials by the bureaucratic red tape, and that is why, after they were disappointed by the ensuing events, the investors scouted for another country within the East African community and settled on Uganda. Now, this is what he says, that they then approached a businessman from Rift Valley who has close ties with Ruto to persuade the DP to link them with Museveni. Now, Ruto reportedly reached out to Museveni with the idea, which the Ugandan president is said to have accepted. A deal was secured in April, and on July 6th, Ruto landed in Uganda at Museveni's invitation for the groundbreaking ceremony of the biotech manufacturing facility in the central Ugandan district of Wakiso. So that is just an excerpt of what is happening here, and part of probably, what is bringing that hard ties between the deputy president and the state. And that is why now they say that the issue of foreign travel law dates back to post-1982 coup attempt. That is as far as that goes on. And, we don't know, we all know how the government operates. We have got NIS, DCI, and all that, the intelligence.
What I can say, Victor, where we are right now as a country, and it will go back to who we are as the media industry right now.
Yeah.
I think we are called to justice, if not to arms at this point, because we have seen the power that the media has in as far as agenda setting is concerned.
Yeah.
So when we are getting, or rather working towards the general elections, and we all know the political temperatures are quite high, I think it is our role as a media industry to debunk facts and myths, as well as getting down, because we have all read from the various dailies there, and you're seeing a lot of speculation as to why this happened and why it didn't happen the other way. But at the point is, how is it affecting Wanjiku? How is it changing her perception? Because it's all about perception, and I think we are called to arms as persons who work in broadcast, because we need to really be factual, be very, very factual, because we have seen how history, and this is not history away from, us ourselves. We have the 2007, 2008 post-election violence. We even have our own neighbor here within the East African community, and that is Rwanda. The power of the media at this time is when we are called to arms. That's all I have to say in regard to, the headlines and what has been said about that particular visit or not. Because there's so much that has not been put in the public eye. There's so much, as you've said, we have the DCI, we have NIS. They'll not give us this information. It's not going to be available here in the public. But us as a media, what role are we playing?
Welcome back. Glad you are still keeping us company. In case you're just joining us, why don't you feel free to interact with us via our various communication platforms on Twitter. The hashtag you need to get on is Good Morning Kenya. At KBC Channel 1 is our official station handle. And do remember to tag us individually as well at Victor Oloo, at Regina Manyara, at Doreen and at Jain Wambui is how you can find us on the socials. Now we get back to what we have on the dailies today, and we come to the Daily Nation and we move to page 3. This is one of the stories that found its way on the front page, and it's in regards to sexual offences that have been reported so far. And this is a report that was put together by the hotline, the national hotline 1195, looking at the periods between June of 2018 through to June of 2021, 3 years. And as per what they say, fathers make the highest number of perpetrators when it comes to incest cases that have been recorded, most of them having taken place at home, where, contrary to expectation, it's supposed to be a girl's safest space. So out of the 160 incest cases that have been reported, 59 are men, fathers rather, not men, fathers. And looking at those who came in second were uncles. Then we had, were followed by stepfathers, then cousins, then grandfathers, followed by brothers, then brothers-in-law, and finally stepbrothers. Now, one of the most recent cases that was reported happened about 3 months ago, and this brought up a new challenge rather when it comes to the investigations, and this is in regards to how the tricks that they use to destroy evidence. So there was a father that was caught red-handed in an estate in Embu West, location of course withheld, and he's reported to have swallowed the condom that he used to get rid of evidence, and that put a huge hurdle in the investigations in this particular case.
Swallowed.
It's a damning report there, and well, as a man I feel embarrassed on behalf of the men folk, but you know, as they always say, we are supposed to be the sole protector, and
it's a godly ordained responsibility.
Yes, you have to protect your people, your family.
Provide.
But then now, when I feel embarrassed to speak, to say the least. Yeah.
You know, the home is supposed to be the safest space for anyone, even when you've had a long day at work. The joy you feel when you go to your home. But now looking at this report, and these are just some of the cases that have been reported, you can imagine how many others go unreported, or how many others resort to tutasoti kama familia. We'll sort this in-house, you know? Yeah.
And some of them, some reports say that some of these cases go unreported, or they resort to have the kangaroo kind of courts. You pay a goat or two, or just resolve the way you're saying it, in-house solutions, and that's it. But the question is, do the victims get justice? Because here you have, you know,
a father, man.
All right.
Wambui, I don't know what you guys think about this. Doreen and Ray.
Did I get it right? There was a part you read that the suspect swallowed?
Yes.
Yeah.
To conceal the evidence?
Yes.
And it gets to that extent.
A father that was caught red-handed, smack in the middle.
I don't think I even have anything to say, because we've been having this conversation over and over, and especially when COVID-19 struck us as a country, it has been an ongoing conversation on end. It just does not end.
Right.
Do I speak as a mom? A broadcaster? You see, okay. There's something we call poetic justice. And I don't know if it is correct or proper. I'm thinking about this process and what that particular report has revealed in this particular case. So this man was found in the act, red-handed.
Yes.
But you know, facts are very stubborn. And when it comes to legal matters, it has to be irrefutable. And that's why I'll always question matters legal. Where does the humanity aspect come in when it comes to law? Because a lawyer would actually stand up and say, by the way, it is hearsay. My client was nowhere near the child at that point. Because first of all, there is no evidence there. The person swallowed it. But I even don't want to think about how that went down, because we all know what happens when you're having constitution and you having to swallow plastic or rubber down your throat. We'll not discuss about that because that's gory details. But now I'm looking at this issue from a legal perspective. And I would want to question the lawyer, because these people have representation. And there was a case that was happening down in my village, and it was about matters of rape. Actually, it was about defilement, and mob justice was being meted out on a perpetrator. And our reporter Simon Achola was down there in Meru County, just trying to, you know, understand what, you know, he was following up on issues of gender-based violence. And those who were giving their opinions, they said, mtu kama huyu hafai kuishi.
Yeah, people have been having a lot of debate on what should be done to such people.
Kuishi, because you look at this, the trauma that the child has gone through. This is a scar that they cannot erase.
But you see what, Regina?
But then the law, then comes in the law. The law, they say, is an us and does not exist in a vacuum.
And you're innocent until
you're proven
guilty. My question would be, if I was in that home, maybe as an aunt, I don't want to think if I was a mom to this child. An aunt. I'm saying an aunt because I'm kind of removed from all that. What will be going through my head?
It's terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. What would be going through my head at this point? How would I deal with that trauma? Anyway. I'm not the victim, but I am in that setup, that family setup. And this goes to say, Jane, the report that you also shared some time back about the cases that end up being solved kindani, kinyumbani. It's because of what even Victor has said, the embarrassment that you guys are in court discussing that Uncle so-and-so was doing XYZ to the niece. Or dad so-and-so was doing X to the daughter.
That even makes it worse.
You know? So families fear coming out. And because we are not talking about it enough, we end up allowing these people go scot-free. And worse still, it's because the law is the law. There has to be evidence. And these people are getting smarter. I wish we had passed the Njoki Ndongo proposal. Do you remember that, guys? The issue of if you're caught a rapist and someone who's defiled a child, they actually get circumcised. At some point, I think it would have actually not circumcised. Sorry, it's castrated. Castrated, chopped off on the chopping block.
But just to cut the long story short, I think men, we should take that spiritual role that we were given. I mean, that, the way Jane said, it is our God-given and ordained role to be the protector. Because that's why, even in the battlefield, women are always at the background. Men, we are supposed to take the front line.
Yes.
And even in the front line, at any given particular place, in situations like in war-torn countries, women are always, protected by men, because we are always seen to be the sole protector of this particular universe. First of all, let me ask you, when mtoto ameshtuka kwa nyumba, do you know anakimbia wapi? Anatafuta babake. Ama unasikia nitambia baba yangu. Because they know fathers are generally strong and they're protective and all that. It's in our instincts, in our minds. But then now, men,
they turn perpetrators.
As a man, let me just say that, guys, let's just wake up and
do better.
Do better. Let's protect these people.
Provide, prophesy.
Take up the father role.
That topples up the whole thing.
All right, so let's come to Victor before you're getting.
Jen said something. Protect.
Provide.
Protect, provide, and prophesy.
Prophesy is heavy.
Triple P.
All right, so let's come to matters education right now. Just try to run you through the dilemma that principals and school heads are now in because of perhaps what the government had mentioned in regards to all learners need to be in school, whereby now secondary school head teachers have found themselves in a quagmire over the admission of students without fees as a result of the government directive that all learners and students need to be admitted for proper transition. This is for that Form 1 transition. But however, the Kenya Secondary Schools Head Association yesterday protested that some parents were taking advantage of that 100% transition, just saying that some parents are actually well able and capable to pay for these fees, the Form 1 fees, but because of what the government said, or the government directive, they're taking advantage of that and choosing to take children or students to school without having to pay fees. So where does this leave the principals and the school heads there? Really, it's just a tussle in between, but this particular article well highlights that, even as we know, obviously, that students are continuing to go to school, at least for the better part of this week. Still on matters education right now, at least vocational colleges are set to get 10 million boosts, and this is from the national government to refurbish and equip vocational and technical training institution, and this move aims to address skill needs for youth who will advance the realization of the country's vision 2030. So all in a bid to just encourage perhaps learners and students that there's nothing wrong with vocational colleges or vocational trainings, that perhaps not everyone really needs to go to universities. There's also vocational training and colleges. And before perhaps you go to other stories, guys, I'd love to rope you in on this one. You know, there's always that mindset and analogy that if you clear Form 4, university is the way to go. If you have to become someone or somebody, you just have to have been in an university kind of setup. We really do not have so much, if I can say, attraction to vocational facilities or even training, because we tend to think that maybe hawakupita exam vizuri. So when you look at what the government is doing, do you really think that perhaps at least we begin to have some love for this kind of training and even embrace it better?
Yeah.
Let me just take you back to the conversation we were having this past Monday, looking at the employability of the youth today. And one of the problems that we were actually talking about was that perception about TVET courses. And as per data that my guest was sharing, as per data that was put together in 2019 from the census, majority of the youth are actually employed in the informal sector. And looking at this sector, most of them stem from the TVET courses, about 15 million. But the problem still remains the mindset. Wanafikiria some of these jobs are not as glamorous as they would be. Because I mean, no one grows up, mzazi wake anamwambia, why can't you become a plumber? You know, why can't you become an electrician? It's always, why can't you become
a doctor, a lawyer?
Why can't you become agake? And that's something that has been so enculturated in us. It's so deep-seated that it's hard for most youth to just shift from that. That's why you find so many of them struggling to find a job. And yet, if they would rather just look at some of these TVET courses and take them. Most of them are quite short. You can go, get done, be done, and get a job in less than 6 months, as per what stats actually noted. Those that come from TVET courses, they average around 6 months to get a job, as opposed to those that go through the 2, 3 year or 4 year courses. And then the other thing is about soft skills that so many of us lack, that we are not taught from a younger age. Wanasemanga samaki mkunje angali mbichi. Akishakuwa mzima tavunjika ukijaribu kumkunja.
Hakunjiki tena.
Yeah, absolutely. This one is briefly in terms of business, and I know Regina will be in a better position to answer this. Regina, you took part in the wildlife census, and the CS now says that wildlife census result will be out in 10 days. The exercise, which caused 250 million Kenya shillings was fully funded by the government. So Kenya is set to have accurate data on the population of her wildlife in 10 days. The CS for tourism, that is Najib Balala, said that the technical team is working on the report detailing the numbers. The CS, however, said that he does not want to speculate on the numbers, but on June 5th, the census was 98% complete. Regina, you took part in this particular exercise on the first day that it started. What can you say from basically what you saw there? Is it promising as compared to other years?
Well, what I can tell you, Victor, during this particular census, when I was down in Amboseli there, we were focusing on, you know, the population of the African elephant down in Amboseli. And we are in the media industry, and I don't know if you're familiar with Team and Echo. These are elephants that are featured in documentaries and films over the year.
Yes.
There was a facility, actually it's called an elephant institution. It's actually, it documents all the elephants we have had for the last over almost 100 years.
Yeah.
And what was very interesting is that this documentation of these particular elephants is by family.
Yeah.
So if they are alphabetic. If we have the Doreen family and you get a child, so
there's a lineage of Doreen family.
They will be named Daisy.
Yeah.
Then Daisy will have another Dira. That is D. Then the Regina family. Like, so it was beautiful. And it's good for us to know, just take stock of what we have in as far as our wildlife is concerned, because it's also going to help in wildlife conservation. And I interacted there with the technical team. It is quite beautiful. What I didn't know, and I'd want to share here as a point of information, is that anyone who knew how to reverse the aging process of the elephant when it comes to their teeth, these animals would live for a lifetime. Why? As they lose their teeth as they grow, and they have 6 sets of teeth. The older they become, they come from the jaw up. So once they get to the last set of teeth, they can't feed no more, so they die off. That is something that you guys need to know. So there's a film, or rather there's a documentary that we are preparing from the news desk. It's going to be ready on August the 12th, which is also going to be the International Elephants Day.
Yeah.
And we're expecting the president down there in Amboseli to actually kick off that and receive that particular report in as far as the elephant naming is concerned. So you can have an elephant named Jane or Victor or Regina or Doreen. It's actually open to any Kenyan. You can support with as little as 3,000 bob to just help conservation issues and, you know, preserve our wildlife. Yes, Jane.
So from a point of information, once again, and clarification, you can get an elephant named after you.
Yes.
At a cost.
Yes.
You too.
Yes.
So I can have several Wambuis.
Yes, you can have Wambuis, because what happens is you can have Wambui. you can have Wambui, or rather an elephant named after you, Wambui. So it means whatever little you get to spend, or rather to spare, you support the conservation. It's feeding. You see, we have an anti-poaching rule in the country, and we have been seeing, like in Amboseli, for the last 20 years, they have not recorded not even one case of poaching. That is an achievement.
That's an achievement.
A great achievement. And the difference between the Amboseli National Reserve and, you know, the Savo and the likes is that elephants in this particular reserve are huge, bigger. I can challenge you today after the show. You can go look up Team the elephant or Echo the elephant. They have been featured in documentaries, and you can see their distinct features. And also on another point of view is Wambui can actually be belonging to Doreen's family, you know, and these elephants know each other. That if this is family, Doreen's family, they can tell that this particular hoot or trumpet, actually it's a trumpet, is from Wambui's family.
They say that
that's how unique. That's how unique elephants
in fact,
are.
They say that elephants have the best memory.
Yes, they do. And also, what you need to know is that elephants cannot coexist with bees.
Yeah, if you want to control them. So if there's one named Oloo, yes, and it's misbehaving, we will know.
Why do you have to use an example?
But the cost is beautiful. I mean, all in a bid to just.
So we just come with these. Oloo, kwa ile kona na misbehave. Yes, control. Yes.
All right, that, it will be interesting. And by the way, as Regina said, there is a documentary coming up right here on KBC. You can look out on that. And Regina, still on business. I'm still on your case. Kenyans pay more taxes on fuel than regional peers. That is according to EPRA. And just briefly, Kenyans are paying higher taxes on petroleum products compared to their peers. That's according to official data from the EPRA. Now, data by Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority shows taxes and levies on super petrol as of July totaled to 58 shillings and 1 cent per litre. Now, Ugandans pay 44 shillings and 38 shillings a litre on the product, while Tanzania pays 41.73 cents a litre. From the business perspective, briefly in 1 minute, I'm being told that tunamaliza situation here.
Let me give it to you at this point. Kenya uses what we refer to...
Kenyans have money.
Oh, okay.
So they are willing to pay.
Run broke, that's all I say.
Not really. It depends on what form of crude or oil that we're using. Kenya uses Mobane, right? And at this point, I don't know what Tanzania or Uganda uses. And I'd want to take you back to January to date. We have been seeing, whenever it is the 14th of every month, the prices of fuel have been on an upward trajectory, with the exception of 2 months when it just remained the same. There are people who are called independent oil marketers.
Yes.
Right? These people are the people who earn in the middle of the value chain. So in the latest, one of the two months back, there was a conversation with government promising them that you will recoup in the next month, because they're the ones who carried the huge weight when it comes to fuel prices. So for Kenya, there are people in the value chain who are earning in between there that is making this cost of fuel go up. Because if you look at right now, OPEC is planning, OPEC Plus, the cartel is planning to increase its production because there's been more uptake with this vaccination, COVID-19 vaccination, and the ease of travel restrictions. But it will take several months for Kenya to actually feel, the changes in the global oil prices. Remember, we do not buy fuel today. We do not buy fuel today, or rather it is not exported in a day. It can take up to 3 months. So with those cost implications, but unfortunately, even when the 3 months lapse and there is an oversupply of this particular crude, it does not usually translate to our pockets. That's where the question is. What are these other levies in the cost of fuel that are affecting the cost at the pump? And the sad irony, or rather the sad fact of this is, if you increase the cost of fuel, you have increased the cost of living for Kenyans.
But the
because
question is, Regina,
is driven by that.
The question is there hope for this country? Because anytime we have a review, we'll always have that upward trajectory. It always goes up. Do we have... And by the way, we have got that question just to you. Do we have that hope for the country?
Well, this was a conversation that was being held in Parliament with some parliamentarians trying to put EPRA, on the spot, to just want to find out, why does Uganda buy this particular commodity at 80 shillings? Yet it is landlocked and this passes through our country. Why are we doing 127 at the pump? That's a question that you get to understand, and we get to hear from EPRA themselves. So we'll wait to see. But I think that those people, the levies as well as the people who are there in the middle, who are enjoying, the fact that you cannot do without fuel.
Brokers, aka brokers.
Actually, not brokers. They are independent oil marketers.
Language.
They are independent oil marketers,
aka brokers.
No,
in simple Kenyan language, Kenyan term.
Now, with that, we've come to the end of this particular segment in the headlines, but we do welcome you to be part of the conversations that are coming up after this quick breather. Talk to us using the hashtag Good Morning Kenya. We will be right back.